Okay, so next steps on the Zoe. So obviously we got this to start and spin the motor, which is really good. So we know that box works. The immobiliser coding is happy. It's happy with the motor, and we've kind of put enough things back in the right place for it to do that. So what do we need to do next? So really important that we test that everything works before we put everything back together, and then obviously otherwise we might have to take it all apart again if something doesn't work. One of the biggest things on the Zoes is charging, because the rectifier and the charging input filter, it does like voltage measurements and stuff like that, is only accessible if you have an issue with them. It's sort of the same thing, you have to take the whole stack out. So this is the point that we need to now get the minimum back on to test charging, and kind of anything else that we can think of, so that when we put it back together we don't then have an issue. And this is from bitter experience of putting a car back together which then doesn't charge, which is really depressing. In that case, the car had a motor fault, but basically we've been sat around so long, moisture had got in a load of components, and it then caused a short on the high voltage system and shorted the rectifier, and that's inside that box, the charging rectifier. So it had to all come out again, which is, yeah, doing an 8 to 10 hour job is a slog, and doing it twice is just depressing, frankly. So we don't want to be doing that. So yeah, so getting the charging socket on, extra fun and games that it's CCS. So if it's just the type 2 like the earlier Zoes or non-CCS, then it's just got this top part, and then so you just have this top orange cable, and that's the AC going on. That's obviously not pushed all the way on, but AC on to the stack to get measured and rectified and stuff. But this is CCS, so we've got the bottom pins, and then that CCS one wiggles round and goes over and down to the CCS contactor box. So little bit of extra, that is the first time I've done one of these with CCS, and wiggling that down is a lot of fun and games, getting that in the right position. It's really tight down there. You can kind of see that it was never really designed to have all that stuff, and then they've kind of just made it fit in there, which is fun. So yeah, and then obviously once we've checked everything, then we can crack on with the rebuild. So in terms of rebuild, this car's obviously got the extra added fun that it's had a bump at the front and been repaired really badly. So like for example, this bracket that's supporting the charging socket, if you if you compare these two, so probably the easiest thing to do is see where this to open the bonnet, where that's mounted, there's nothing above that. So that's this part here. So this whole section was missing, that bit there. And then this part with the 3 bolt holes, or 3 clips, 2 bolt holes, that was still on the slam panel. So that whole section was missing. So I had to get one of them from Renault, which wasn't particularly expensive, so that's fine. But yeah, just obviously adding on top of the 10-hour job is actually things, because they're broken on this car, we're not just putting them back on again. So yeah, other bits, that arch liner from the driver's side, front half of the arch line was totally missing, so we've got a new one of them. This you've seen this in an earlier video, this is the slam panel, so that was in a really poor condition. This bit is just like totally broken, it's been like bodged back together, and the guy said he couldn't get hold of one, which is a bit weird because they're available at Renault, but I suspect it was probably just a cost decision. But I'm not putting that back together. I'm not happy with that. I'll make it very clear to customers that if I'm going to fix a car, I'm going to do it properly, and if they want it bodged back together, they can take it somewhere else, basically, and that's it. I'm only doing it if I can do it properly. But yeah, so where I take things apart, I put the bolts back in, but obviously now that's not the part that's going back on the car. So like over here we've got a horn, we've got the pedestrian sounder, so all that needs transferring over. So like literally got to take those bolts out and move everything over. These are the sort of like rubber things that the bonnet sits on when it closes, and one of those was broken. It might be possible to glue it back together, but I was ordering parts. I ordered one because it wasn't very expensive, but then I worked out that they're different. So if you, I'll just move that over. You see those two, this one's kind of a bit more smaller on the top, cone shaped, and that was a bit flatter. So yeah, I've ordered one, but it might not be that one, it might be that one. But anyway, I should be able to repair that, but I can always pop that in later. I need to order some other Renault parts anyway for motors, so that's fine. So we've got to do all that. This is broken as well on the bumper, so that's going to be real fun and games, because we've got to pop all these clips that clip together that aren't intended to really come apart. We've got to pop them all apart separately, and it's all obviously adding on top of the 10-hour job. Headlights, so in the earlier video the headlight was basically screwed in because all the clips were broken. These headlights are quite expensive, so what I did, well, this is actually a new one. What I did first is I ordered a repair kit, which is really hard to get hold of, but managed to get one. It's an original Renault part, but parts desks will tell you can't order it, which is a bit weird. But I managed to get it from a European parts place. So I was going to use these to repair the other headlight, but then I saw that one on eBay, which is a lot better. It actually looked perfect, but when it arrived, like that clip's broken, so there should be a bit like that sticking out of there, so it should kind of be like that. But I've got this repair kit. I've actually got that bit as well, so I may be able to just repair that because it's pretty good. Or you can see those kind of screw in there, which is quite cool. So this headlight is actually designed to have a repair kit fitted, and this is an original Renault part, which is kind of cool. So slightly annoyingly, I bought these, which were expensive, and then I bought a headlight. But that's kind of the way it goes, basically. And like, yeah, so like that's that one. And it comes with little like self-tapping screws to like screw into those, yeah, into there. So it's obviously designed to have it on, designed to be repairable. There you go, top marks, Renault, something that's actually designed to be repaired. Yeah, so, and on the other headlight, even using that repair kit, there was like whole sections were just broken off, and then it had holes in it because they drilled it to put blooming wood screws in it. So we had to get another headlight, really, so that's quite cool. And then the other thing that's fun and games is the radiator pack. So I thought this had just popped off, and I thought, okay, we're going to pop this back on, but now it's out, it's actually slightly banana shaped, so it's been pushed in, so it's kind of curved like that, and that's why that won't sit on. So I'm gonna have to do something with that. It does look kind of bent. Actually, it looks like that corner's been pushed back, actually, doesn't it? It was holding the gas and everything, so it wasn't leaking. So the radiator packs are quite expensive, basically, especially because this is a later car, because it's a ZE50. But I'm going to basically take all that apart, and it might get fettled. There's a you might have seen, there's a video about how they did the kind of finishing on the Lada cars, I think they were, in the like East German Lada factory. And they kind of like use their knees and their boots and wooden wedges and stuff to like line up the doors and the bonnet and stuff. So that might get fettled like an 80s Lada, I think. Just see what we can do with it. It obviously doesn't have to be perfect, it has to be functional, but it has to be safe as well. It's got a couple of bits broken on it, but I think that can be repaired in a sort of sensible fashion, not like that, which is just unsafe. So yeah, I mean, it's been fully welded here as well. It was obviously totally cracked here. Oh yeah, so cracked up here and along here and up there, and it's had some of these like heat plastic things, a load of gunge, and they've just put gunge on the top and not worried about the bottom. I mean, it's appalling, frankly. So yeah, things like that bonnet catch you've got to transfer over. So that's the plan, basically. Those bits and bobs, that's got to add to the time, obviously, but it's going to get done. It's going to get done properly. And yeah, so next step, I'm going to make sure it charges, work out how that cable goes down. All the cable routing is obviously different because earlier cars don't have that, but I've got the Renault sort of diagrams and stuff, so we can have a look at that. Yeah, and just get that bit swapped over, and then just crack on like normal, but obviously having to work on each part as we go. So yeah, that's the update, and I'm going to crack on, and I'll show you the progress as I get there. Obviously that wiring, it all, when you put the radiator pack on, that wiring kind of runs across the front, and then that's all sort of like these, they're solenoids for the heat pump, and then similarly up there, and then there's the brake fluid sensor. It actually all wraps around across the front, across the radiator and onto there. But yeah, this one's a little bit different. I've quite enjoyed this because like that doesn't exist on an earlier Zoe on the engine wiring loom, and that's part of the charging, like for the CCS, a little addition there. I need to double check whether I've got this cable routing correct, because so like this loom, which the engine wiring loom is bolted on here, but it just seems a little bit loose there, and I need to just double check on another stack Just whether that's meant to be fixed in my head on the earlier ones, that was fixed in position. But yeah, I mean, if needed, I can just get like one of those cable tie bolt brackets and put it on there, just to make sure that that's held on, because you don't want that to vibrate and then rob. So yeah, so it's all that kind of stuff really. Obviously things could be missing or damaged from the accident, but basically I'm going to put it back together properly, because that's the way to do it. So yeah, that's the update. Hope that's interesting. Yeah, any questions, let me know. All right, cool. Cheers.